Hey everyone, in this short video we're going to learn about the distribution of fatty acids throughout food. We're going to learn about essential fatty acids or EFAs, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, and cis and trans fatty acids. So this is all based upon page 27, 28 and 29 of your textbook if you want to refer to it. So at the end of today's class you'll understand how fatty acids are distributed throughout some foods. Now, just to remind yourself what a fatty acid is and what the chemical formula is, it's OR/COOH. OR symbolises the hydrocarbon chain. And to remember that fatty acids consists of lengths of carbon atoms which can vary in length. Now, there's a number of fatty acids which are essential for the general functioning of the body, but which the body cannot manufacture. And these essential fatty acids must be obtained from our food. So that's what's meant by EFA. We're also going to learn about omega-3 and omega fatty acids, which are said to aid brain function. Now, omega-3 fatty acids are a particular type of unsaturated fatty acid. And we're going to learn how they have a double bond between the third and the fourth carbon atom. So things like oily fish, sardines, herring, mackerel and salmon are the best sources of omega-3 fatty acids. It's also present in nuts, seeds and soybeans. We're also going to learn about unsaturated fatty acids, which may be either cis fatty acids or trans fatty acids. So just to recall from the previous class, in what ways can fatty acids be classified? Well, fatty acids can be classified according to structure, their properties or their sources. So for structure, are there any double bonds? Obviously, if there's no double bonds, it's a saturated fatty acid. If there's one double bond, it's monounsaturated, and two or more, it's polyunsaturated. We can also classify fats by their properties. What is their melting point? Liquid at room temperature or solid at room temperature? And sources, what kind of sources are they found in? Animal sources, marine or vegetable. As a general rule, if they come from animal sources, it means they are saturated fatty acids. So before we get stuck in, I just want to make the point that in many different foods, there isn't just one type of fatty acid. There's a range of different fatty acids as well as other nutrients. Now, you're not going to see the detail of this image, but this just describes a portion here of the lipids that are in milk. So lipids make up 3.9% of milk. We can go in closer into this and we see that triglycerides account for 98.3% of lipids that are in milk. We also have got phospholipids and cholesterol, and the butyric acid is specific for milk fat. Okay, there's also stearic acid and different types of fatty acids that are there. So you can see from this diagram that within fats, animal fats and vegetable fats, there's a distribution of saturated, monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats going through that fat. So just because it's animal doesn't mean that it is all saturated fat. But we can see from this chart that butter, lard, suet and dripping from beef have approximately 50% saturated fat. You might be surprised to see that the fat that rises to the top of the meat juices after you roast beef, the white fat that gets hard on top, there's 38% monounsaturated fats from there and 3% polyunsaturated. So the point is, it's not a golden rule that just because it comes from animal sources or vegetable sources that it's going to be either one type of fatty acid or the other. Vegetable fats, we can again see this surprisingly from olives. You're going to have 14% saturated fat, 73% monounsaturated and 8% polyunsaturated. Sunflower oil will also have saturated fat, and so will block margarine. Now margarine, where does that come from? We're going to go into this in a little bit more detail. Margarine is solid at room temperature. However, its original source is vegetable oil, and it gets converted into block margarine through a process called hydrogenation. It goes from liquid to solid by hydrogenation. And here's another graph showing different types of oils and the distribution of saturated fats, linoleic acid, alpha linoleic acid and monounsaturated fat. So saturated fat is red, so we can see that you're going to have the most amount of saturated fat in coconut oil. And monounsaturated is yellow, so the least amount of saturated fat in canola oil, safflower and sunflower oil. Next, we're going to look at unsaturated fatty acids. Unsaturated fatty acids include essential fatty acids, which are essential to the body, but they cannot be made by the body. So the examples of essential fatty acids are linoleic, linolenic, and arachidonic acid, also called omega-6. Unsaturated fats are classified as either polyunsaturated fats, PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, which mainly include omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids, or monounsaturated fats, MUFAs, which include omega-9 fatty acids. Essential fatty acids, or EFAs, the requirement is small in adults. Adults only need 8 to 10 grams a day. Linoleic acid should make up 1% of the total energy that we intake per day, and alpha-linolenic 0.2% of total energy. So this is really the big essential fatty acid you kind of need to be getting in, but it's only a small amount that you need. So why do we need essential fatty acids? First of all, the sources would be nuts, seeds, olive oil and oily fish, and you just need to learn those off. The functions are that they aid cell membrane formation, which is essential for growth, and they are also thought to counteract the hardening effects of cholesterol on the arteries, thereby reducing the risk of coronary heart disease. So the two big EFAs that you need to know are linoleic acid and alpha-linoleic acid. Linoleic acid is known as omega-3. It's quite plentiful in the diet. You're going to get a load of this, and in fact, some people's diets have too much omega-6. Alpha-linoleic is omega-3, and you have to be a little bit more conscious to get omega-3 fatty acids. Here's a question for you. Which omega source are you currently eating the most of? On our left-hand side, we've got avocados, chickpeas, sunflower seeds, walnuts, almonds, chia seeds, salmon, eggs, beans, and linseeds. And then on our right, we've got corn oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, and different types of nut oils and olives. So which would you say that would be your predominant source of omega sources? Are you getting mostly omega-3 and omega-6? And is this important? So it is important which omega fatty acids you're consuming the most of. You're recommended to have the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 needs to be 1:2. However, in the Western diet, the average person has the ratio of 1:10 or 1:50, anything within that range between 10 and 50. So people are overdoing omega-6 fatty acids because of processed foods, and they're not having enough oily fish, good quality nuts and seeds and eggs. An interesting exercise that you could do is to write down a day's diary, maybe even a week's diary, and see or try to assess, are you getting enough omega-3 sources in your diet, and make suggestions in your diet of things that you can include next week if you can, to up your omega-3 fatty acids so that the ratio of 3 to 6 is 1:2. So let's revisit the classification of fatty acids so we know where we are. To summarise so far, saturated fats will be lauric acid, myristic acid, you're going to find that in milk, palmitic acid also in milk, stearic acid in milk and in meat. You're going to find unsaturated fats being divided into two groups, monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Monounsaturated is easy, it's just got one double bond along the carbon chain, and your example is olive oil or oleic acid. Polyunsaturated is what you need to spend most of your time studying, really, and that's what we're doing in this section. Omega-6 would be linoleic acid, CLA, GLA, and arachidonic acid, and omega-3, which is more important, is linoleic because that's an essential fatty acid, EPA and DHA, extremely important. Now we want to think about fish as a source of omega-3 fatty acids. The three main omega-3 fatty acids are alpha-linoleic acid, or ALA, eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, docosahexaenoic acid, DHA. So docosahexaenoic acid and eicosapentaenoic acid are found in fish and in other seafood. You can refer to them as EPA and DHA. ALA, alpha linoleic, which you do need to know, is an essential fatty acid, meaning that your body can't make it, so you must get it from the foods and the beverages that you consume. So what makes omega amazing? Omega-3 fatty acids are particular unsaturated fatty acids that have got the double bond between the third and the fourth carbon atoms. Why do we need omega fatty acids? They're associated with a reduced risk of heart attack, stroke, circulatory diseases, and the formation of blood clots, and certain cancers. And they're also associated with healthy brain activity. Going into more detail again, just background work, the most important omega-3 fatty acids are alpha linoleic acid, ALA, which you do need to know, eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, DHA. Omega-3 in fish are shown to help protect against coronary heart disease, or CHD, by reducing serum triglycerides, and these are blood fat levels. The best sources are foods naturally rich in omega-3 fatty acids and not supplements. So although you can get omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, sometimes they're put into your eggs, sometimes they're in cod liver oil, the best place to get them is from your food. So eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, both play a crucial role in the development of the brain and the central nervous system. They both have potent anti-inflammatory properties. The primary omega-6 PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acid in the diet is linoleic acid, LA. Linoleic acid is an essential fatty acid, which is converted to another type of omega-6 PUFA called arachidonic acid. So you really, if we were to break it down, the two essential fatty acids are linoleic and alpha linoleic, because linoleic will get converted into arachidonic acid. So you might see arachidonic acid as a third essential fatty acid, which is correct, but in fact, from a nutritional point of view, you only need to think about two. Now, omega-9 are known as MUFAs. We don't really have to refer to omega-9 for leaving cert, but just for background information. These MUFAs are components of animal fat and vegetable oils, and the main type of omega-9 fatty acid is oleic acid, which is found in olive oil, nuts, seeds, and animal fats. The first part of your homework tonight is to outline the function of omega-3 fatty acids in the diet, name two foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, and to describe the structure of omega-3 fatty acids. Don't forget to save your work as omega _ your initial _ your surname and _ the month. Take a photograph of your work and save it using that configuration and upload to OneDrive. Lastly, we talk about cis and trans fatty acids. Cis fatty acids are when the hydrogen atoms are on the same side of the double bond, either above or below, it doesn't matter. Trans fatty acids is when they get twisted around from too much heat, agitation, and certain food processing techniques. Cis fatty acids. The two hydrogen atoms are on the same side of the double bond. These are the most naturally occurring unsaturated fatty acids, so the majority of unsaturated fatty acids are cis fatty acids, and they're found in all foods that contain some fat or oil. Trans fatty acids, the two hydrogen atoms are on opposite sides of the double bond. Conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, is an example of a naturally occurring trans fatty acid found in dairy products and meat. The process of hydrogenation, as we've discussed already, is when you can convert an oil into a block of margarine. So there's a nickel catalyst forced under heat and pressure into the oil, which converts and changes the double bonds from cis to trans fatty acids. For the last part of your homework tonight, I want you to explain each of the following and give one source in each case. Explain cis fatty acids and trans fatty acids. Don't forget to save your work as cis _ trans _ your initial, or A, P, V, whatever it is, _ your surname _ March and into your OneDrive.